Okay, so we have some updates we needed to do. So we're going to cover these 5 things. Okay, RQI is due by 11:59 on June 30th. So you have till 11:59 on June 30th to complete your RQI. If you haven't completed it as of 1 o'clock in the morning, then on 1:01 on July 1st, you are considered delinquent. You will not be able to work, and you will receive a level 1. So get that done. Don't wait till the last minute. The RQI for today only is going to be in the ASU local room. Make it easier for you to get over there and to do it. And it's only going to be there till 3:30, so afterward, if you want to do it later tonight, you'll have to go back to 2 South or 2 North. Don't forget to do the buddy checklist for the Foleys. When you put a Foley in, you need to complete this checklist. It should be taped on the Foley kit. There will be extra copies out at the desk. Turn those in with your charges. Once you turn them in, they will be forwarded to the manager's mailbox. Angie has been collecting them. So fill it out. If you do not have a Foley Buddy, you'll need to kind of write that on the paper here, and like here where it says buddy name, you have to circle no and write on there Foley Buddy not available, and then kind of like write the circumstances behind it, because you need to have a Foley Buddy. And when you're documenting it in Epic, under your LDA, when you're doing your lead-oral catheter, you can see right here under additional comments, it says who your Foley Buddy is. If you are in like a robotic gynae case or any gynae case and the surgeon is putting it in, you can add your LDA, and then under comments you can put inserted by Dr. Lennox, and then like if you were the Foley Buddy, you're standing there watching him put it in sterilely, then you can put you're the Foley Buddy, or you can put the scrubber as the Foley Buddy. So who can be a Foley Buddy? Anyone who can put a Foley in can be a Foley Buddy. So our techs sometimes put Foleys in. They've been validated on Foleys. You can have a scrub tech be your Foley Buddy. You can have a nurse. You can have a PA. You can have a RN FA. You can have an FA, and who did I miss? First assist and a surgeon. Yeah. So those are the people. Anyone who can put in a Foley can be your Foley Buddy. If you do not have a pool person, or it is on your PM shift and there's like, you don't have a second person around, call your charge nurse. Say, hey, I'm going to be putting in a Foley. I don't have a Foley Buddy. You're going to need to come in at this time. Obviously, if you don't have someone with you, it is nice if you let your charge nurse know, hey, I'm going for the patient. They're going to need a Foley. I'm going to need a Foley Buddy in about 10 minutes. So try to plan that with your pool person or with your charge nurse. If your tech is set up and they're all set up and sterile, they can move a little bit away from their field, and they can look and they can be your Foley Buddy.
It takes 2 people to put a Foley in there?
One is a Foley Buddy, which means that they have to watch and make sure your sterile technique is good. We've been having an increase in CAUTI, so we have to, this is the program they came up with to help decrease our CAUTI rates. So it's a watching thing. You know, obviously if you need, because they're large and you need someone to help you then, but otherwise that you have to have someone watching your sterile technique. Pregnancy testing. Pregnancy testing has gone back to the way it was a few years ago, that they've added this on each year. Patients who are menopausal and have not menstruated for greater than a year. When you have not menstruated for greater than a year, you are considered menopausal. So you don't have to have a pregnancy test. It doesn't matter, say you're 45 years old and you haven't had a period since you were 43. You're in menopause. You do not need to have a pregnancy test. Otherwise, anyone the age who has not been proven to be menopausal, has not had a hysterectomy, they are, if they're 10 through 55, they will need to have a pregnancy test.
What about a 30-year-old that doesn't have periods because of birth control
She still has a uterus.
for greater than a year?
She's never had a hysterectomy?
Because of birth control does not mean she's in menopause though.
I get that, but
So,
just the
you know, that's a really good
greater
question,
than a year.
because, I mean, that does bring something up,
Because
but,
if they ask you, when was your last period? Oh, it's been 2 years.
that is new birth control. I would still go ahead and, I would do a pregnancy test on that, but, I mean, I think that they're talking about, have not had a period due to nature and not pharmacology. But that actually kind of might have needed to be addressed in there. That's right.
Is
Birth
there
con-
anything that's gonna go into place for, a warning or something for this to pop up when you have a surgical patient? That's either admitted to the ED or on the floor?
You'd know that quicker than I would. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about muscle biopsy, and I am told, even though the policy and everything says muscle, it also is included on nerve biopsies. So there's something that we don't do very often. They're kind of a special little test. There is a policy. This policy for the preparation for send out on muscle biopsies is under laboratory procedures or laboratory policies, if you want to look at it. But I did not highlight this in yellow, that was highlighted already, because this is so specific, and it's such a low frequency, high risk type thing that they want everyone to know this. So that is the policy. When we do a muscle biopsy or a nerve biopsy, we're going to be getting a couple sheets of paper coming up in the morning. So our muscle biopsies get sent out to Mayo Clinic. There will be a muscle biopsy paper. It's actually either going to be 2 pieces of paper or front and back side that talks about what Mayo does for the preparation and the transportation of the muscle biopsy. The first 2 kind of talk about the collection of the muscle biopsy. This is kind of a difficult copy to read. Jesse from the lab promised me he would send me a clean copy so we can post clean copies that you can actually read around. So this is part of the muscle biopsy testing paper, and I'm going to show you the second one. Notice that they don't really want you using electrocautery or muscle clamps on it, because you want to have a very, very nice specimen, a pristine. So also what comes with a muscle biopsy is going to be this pathology sheet, which you will try to fill out to the best of your ability. Know that this, like I said, it's sent to Mayo for specialized testing. Mayo, we only have a Mayo courier on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So these cases are done Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before noon. Our scheduling department knows that, and they schedule them accordingly. That's all gone really well. So if a specimen has to be stored, like over a 24-hour period, or like if this accidentally gets done on a Thursday or Friday, it has to be stored at -7 degrees Celsius or on dry ice. When they send this to Mayo, they, lab gets notified that there's gonna be one of these, and there's a special kit that they get that's got dry ice in it, and that has to, specimen goes down fresh to pathology, and they take care of getting it prepared to send out. Try to fill out the top part as much as possible, patient information. You're probably not gonna know the referring neurologist. You can probably put the surgeon there. Maybe you'll be lucky that in your physician's history and physical, it'll say, you know, muscle biopsy being requested per Dr. Shavastava, or, you know, something like that. I know you guys are like, who is that? He's an old neurologist here. Dr. Bielkis, she's gone too. But anyway, so try to fill this out as much as possible. You can get their first and last name, their date of birth, phone number, and then actually for reports, you're gonna have to probably have that sent to the surgeon. So, but those are like that you have to fill that out, and then the rest is going to be for lab to fill out. So, goes down fresh. One thing that, we wanted to talk about is whenever you have a specimen and you are unsure how to send it down, and the surgeon doesn't seem to know, you can call lab. We're going to post the phone numbers or the times. Usually histology is the department to call, but they're only here till like 3:30, and then you can call lab. But when you call lab, they're always going to tell you send it fresh, because just if they don't know. So if you have a question how to send the specimen, call lab or send it fresh. That when in doubt, send it fresh, because that tissue is there. It's got just a tiny bit of saline on it to keep it moist. If you put it in a preservative, a fixative like formalin, then you are changing the molecular structure, and they're not going to be able to find what they need. So, Dr. Rodriguez had done most of our muscle biopsies, and he knew this information, and now that he has gone, it's kind of left to the other surgeons, whether it's going to be a general surgeon or an orthopedic surgeon, to do these cases, and they're kind of unfamiliar. So, counting clarification. So, we're going to clarify some things about our count policy. If you have any questions, I'm going to refer you to Sheila. Sheila is on a ministry-wide committee for the count policy, which is being revised and will come out in October. Our old one expires in October, and the new one will be coming out in October. So this is what Teresa and I sat down with Sheila, and we talked about. These are her answers. So if you have questions, you really need to talk with Sheila. So I'm going to start with number 7 first. A count may be requested by any team member at any time. So if Cinda's scrubbed in and I'm circulating for her, and I'm looking at my needle count, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, Cinda, I need you to count your needles for me. If there's a point in the procedure where where she can do that, I mean, obviously if, you know, she's holding a bleeder or doing whatever and she can't, but if it's a point where she can do that, her response to me is, yes, Teresa, I'd be happy to count those needles for you. She's not going to say, well, you just gave me that one, and, you know, and you should know how many we have. No, I am requesting you count, therefore you count. The same goes with a tap who's scrubbed, and they're looking at their sponges, and they're like, all right, I got 6 sponges on the field, and there's 1 in the blue bag, and I can't tell how many are in my bucket. Is there 1 in the bucket? Is it really in the patient? That then he Keith would say to Cinda, Cinda, I need you to count laps. And Cinda would stop what she's doing at the computer or whatever she is doing, and she would go and count laps. So, counts for sponges, sharps, and miscellaneous items, like we're calling the soft goods and the sharps, are performed by the scrub nurse and the circulator during relief counts. So if you're going out to lunch and when you're coming back, you are doing a count of soft goods and sharps. If you are being permanently relieved, you're doing soft goods, sharps, and if there are instruments to be counted, you're doing instruments. If the case that you are doing is a full instrument count, now we're talking about full instrument counts. So if the case that you're doing is full instrument counts, the initial count is done on the paper copy. When you are done with the paper copy, you will take the paper copy and the soft goods and blades that you can document on the board, you document on the whiteboard. They no longer will be added on the paper. The only thing that then gets added on the paper copy is the instruments. That these up here, all of this stuff, when you add an additional 10 laps or an additional 8 swedged, gets documented on the whiteboard so everyone in the room can see that and that you're not double documenting and something is getting missed. So, after the initial count, soft goods and sharps go on the whiteboard. Instruments on the paper copy.
So side question, and I'm sure it's probably up there and my brain's just not processing reading. With the relief counts, so i.e. I'm scrubbed in, Cinda's my nurse, like let's say she already had lunch or something, Mary Ann's coming in to get me out, but Cinda's staying in the room. Are we still doing that as long as there is one person from the original count process?
You will be doing a soft count.
Just
Yep.
a soft count?
Yes, you don't have to do instruments, but you will be doing your soft goods and your sharps. So that way, Mary Ann knows where everything is and what you have. So, and that way when you come back and you're doing your little, you and Mary Ann are handing off to each other, you'll do another count again with Cinda so you know where everything is.
Okay. Because that was one thing I just didn't have 100% totally clarified. I knew in the past that's how we had done it, as long as one member from the original count was there, that was fine, but
Now,
that makes more sense actually.
yeah,
Just
that anytime one of you is leaving a room, there should be a count done so everybody is aware of what's on the field and where it's at. So when you come back, you know, like what's been added, how many, and like where it's at. So permanent relief is if a staff person is leaving and not returning to the case. Like they're leaving and they're going home. If they're leaving and they're going to lunch, they're still in the building, you'll still, if you have a question, can call them and ask them. They don't have to come back from their break to like, oh, we're doing the final count, come back. You can do that count with another person. If there are any questions, then you call that person. So it's only if there's permanent relief. And once again, right here, we're talking about instruments, well, instruments and soft goods and everything, so. Any maybe clarifications?
So lunch breaks are small count, soft goods, blades, sharps.
Yes.
Permanent relief is a full relief count instrument better.
Yes, Rob. Thank you very much. Very succinct. You said it great. And then there's our little documentation thing. And we're done, everyone. Oh, wait a minute, we're not. Now Teresa is going to show you the mail quick change thingy. So, yes.
You can wrap a present? Oh, maybe people can't wrap presents.
You were done?